What's up, everybody? You're listening to episode 6 of Just Breathing with Laud Lungs. This is your special beach edition that I hinted to earlier in the week. We are on our last day of vacation, and every year we go to Ocean City, New Jersey, because that is the best beach.
Yes.
I know there's a lot of Maryland lovers. There's a lot of Rehoboth lovers. There's a lot of Outer Banks. Outer Banks might beat us, but that's really far. But Ocean City, New Jersey is, I think, the best overall beach experience. Just because you have the beach and it's a nice beach. Mm-hmm. It's not this Ocean City, Maryland. You have to walk like a mile to get to the ocean from the boardwalk.
I don't know if I've ever been there.
It's crazy. But then you have a nice, not too long of a walk to the beach. You have the Ocean City Boardwalk, which is kind of a renowned boardwalk. Mm-hmm. And it has rides, it has arcades, it has shops, it has kind of everything you would want in a beach experience.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, that's pretty much it. But it's pretty great.
It is great.
It's pretty great.
That's all you need. That's enough.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's enough to keep kids entertained.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
Because that is the goal when you have kids on vacation.
Yes.
A lot of people think of vacation as a relaxing experience. I do not. I think of vacation as a fun experience.
And it's refreshing. It is refreshing.
It is refreshing. It is nice to kind of wake up and not have to be somewhere. Mm-hmm. Kind of have, you can have a full morning routine, especially when you have grandparents helping you out.
Yeah, that
helps
awesome.
a lot.
Helps a lot.
Oh my goodness. If we had to do this on our own.
Oh no.
Nope.
No.
Nope.
Then it probably wouldn't be refreshing.
No. It would just be a change of scenery.
Yeah.
Doing the same thing over and over again.
We would be doing fun things.
Yeah.
More fun things. So that would be fun.
That's true. That's true. Yeah, this year has been great too because the kids have actually enjoyed the water.
Yes.
Like they've actually not only just got their feet in it, but started laying in it.
Yes.
Started body surfing. Started, Brom got a little, what do we even call that? Like a boogie board type thing. Little miniature one. And he's been riding that in and out. So that's been awesome to see. But the rides too have been cool because now Elijah is just meeting that 36-inch height.
He's allowed to go on now.
Which probably most 3-year-olds can meet that, but that dude is so small. I feel so bad. He has his dad's genes. But he loves it too. Mm-hmm. Oh my goodness. When I went on, was it yesterday that we went on the rides? Or was it 2 days ago?
It was 2 days ago.
2 days ago. And we did that one where it drops. It like lifts you up and then drops. Mm-hmm. Oh my goodness. To hear the sound of his little laugh.
Oh, I didn't get to hear it. It was too loud.
Well, that's the thing. Yeah. So that's another weird part this year. This is the first year. Obviously, we're still in 2020, and the pandemic is still a thing. So everywhere, if you go into any theme park, if you go into any store, you have to wear masks. Mm-hmm. And it's been weird. It hasn't been too much of an inconvenience.
Right.
I really haven't minded it, but it does stink at the rides.
Yeah, you can't see their happy smiles.
Yeah, you can see their eyes, but Elijah is so expressive with his smile and he's so expressive with his laugh.
Yeah.
And like that's really covered up. But when I was sitting right next to him, he just had that because he was saying he was giggling and he was like, I could feel it in my tummy.
Oh,
it's like I can feel it in my tummy. And I love that.
That's so cute.
Just to be there when he's experiencing that first butterflies from the rides and stuff.
I just saw him like wiggling his feet, like jumping his feet up and down on the ride. I could tell he was happy. That was
so much fun. That was so much fun. But yeah, this has been a great week so far. And we just wanted to do this podcast to keep pumping these out and bring you into this experience. You are sitting with us, if you're watching this, on our beach house bed. Comforter brought to you by Amanda Chase. She What do you even call this? Crocheted? Knitted?
Yeah, I can't remember if she crocheted or knitted. She does both, doesn't she?
Yeah. This is a something knit crocheted comforter.
Maybe it's
homemade.
crocheted.
Sure.
I think it's crocheted.
Sure.
Yeah.
But it's beautiful. It's comfy.
It's really nice.
And you guys are privileged to be able to see it right now if you're watching this.
That's true.
And if you're listening to this, well, I just want you to picture a cloud. And I want you to imagine sitting on it and enjoying all of the warmth that a
blanket cloud
could provide you. But it's pretty great. Well, one of the things that I was thinking about as we were going through this week, and it actually had come up in one of the devotionals that we were reading, is the whole idea of Sabbath. Mm-hmm. And I thought this is kind of a fitting podcast to maybe discuss what Sabbath is all about, kind of what we've learned over the years, because we never really did Sabbath. We never really did any type of rest day growing up. Did your parents ever you had church.
We had a lot of no, we didn't have a Sabbath. We had a lot of vacations.
Right.
But
break times.
Break times, but we didn't have a
regular thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that kind of became the norm in American culture, at least.
Yeah.
That you kind of work all year round, and then you have a week or 2 weeks where you focus on yourself, you focus on rest and kind of recharging so you can get back into the workforce and go some more. And we kind of lost the whole idea of Sabbath, especially in, if you come from more of a Catholic or a Protestant Christian background, you don't have that mandated.
Right.
It's not really something that you have to keep this day holy, so you have to not do any work. You have to take a break and all that type of stuff. But I think, as our culture gets crazier and as so much information is coming at you on a constant basis, the idea of Sabbath, I'm noticing just in the books that are coming out, in the podcasts I've listened to, a lot more people are talking about Sabbath or rest day, if you want to call it that. And basically, it's just a time to kind of shut off the phone, shut off the TV, shut off all of the things that are coming at you or that could come at you, and use that day to kind of let your mind rewire, recharge, get back to, a consistent playing field.
Right.
So yeah, I would love to just kind of talk about maybe what we've learned over the past couple of years, because we've kind of explored that in our lives. We haven't been successful all the time because, again, back to kids. It's very difficult on a Saturday when the kids are like, "What are we doing?
Right.
Where are we going?
Yeah.
What's happening? What's shaking?" They don't say what's shaking because that would be weird. But yeah, I know this week has made me think about it again, just because I took a break from, I've heard some of the news from TV or a notification on my phone this week, but for the most part, I've stayed away from watching any news programs, reading any news articles, just trying to step away from the politics right now, because that's been something that
you're immersed in it all week.
I immerse myself in it, and purposefully. I'm trying to stay up and know what I think about things and know my opinions on subjects, but I needed a break. Yeah. I needed a rest from that, so that, again, I could rewire, I could recharge, and I could come at it from a fresh perspective.
So how do you feel?
So far I feel great. I feel like the news continues on, and I feel like it doesn't have as direct connection to my life as you feel it does when you're in it all the time.
Right.
Does that make sense? So it just feels, I do feel removed from the news that's happening.
Yeah.
You know, I still want to be informed. I still want to know what's going on. So when the subject comes up, I'm not completely ignorant.
Right.
You know, I want to know, I want to have an answer.
Yeah.
That's really, I'm a type of person that I like to have an answer.
Yeah. I think that break is important. If we're talking specifically away from the phone, is important because it gives you time to realize that you're not in control or in charge, like, of that news. Like, it's gonna happen. And we still need to know about it because it does affect our lives. It is our country. It is, our neighborhoods. Maybe it's far away from us, but it is good to know about those things. But it's good also to realize that God is ultimately in control. And
right.
I think that's the humbling part, is to kind of have a break sometimes to say, it's going to be okay if I don't know today. I'll find out tomorrow. Like, it's
Well, and especially right now, a lot of the battles that are sort of raging in our political sphere and raging in our churches and are very, I don't know how to really say this. They're very past oriented, if that makes sense at all. They're very focused on looking at our past and seeing how that affects our future. And sometimes it's, I'm still formulating this in my mind, so I apologize for not really having a good thought, but I feel like it takes us away from our present.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like when I've been in the news, so much of the narratives that are going on right now when it comes to race or when it comes to economics or when it comes to anything related to whatever you want to call it, power divisions or class divisions or race divisions or however you want to slice it. It's very past oriented. It's very looking at America as it once was and how that affects our future.
Right.
And you kind of get into that frame of mind when you're immersed in those arguments all the time.
Yeah.
And so I do a lot of reflection on our past and America's past and the church's past and it really rips you. It's good to do. I'm not denying that it's good to look at our past so we don't make those mistakes in the future.
Oh, for sure.
I love, this is random, but I love this one quote that I heard. I believe it was from Mark Twain. Now that's his pen name. I forget what his real name is. But he said, history doesn't repeat itself, but it often rhymes. And I just felt like that was a powerful statement. And I see it happening right now in our country, that we are repeating a lot of the things that we've done in the past, maybe not in the same ways, but it sure looks similar.
Right.
But so I think it's good to look at those things, reflect on those things, see where we're at in those things, but at some point remove yourself. And I think you have to remove yourself entirely, like we've done this week, in order to get back into the present.
Right. Yeah.
Because it pulls you to the past. Everybody wants you to look back and make a decision. Was America founded on slavery? Was America founded in racism? Was America's history so indebted to these ideals that it's irredeemable? So these are the things that are constantly tugging at you and making you look back. And instead of focusing on your present and saying, well, regardless of this, where are we at now?
Right. Yeah.
What can we do now to make sure that never happens again?
Right.
So yeah, going back to what I've learned this week, being able to remove myself from the past and focus in on present has been really key for me. But yeah, I mean, I know we tried to have Saturdays be our Sabbath day for a while, just because we're both involved in church and ministry, and so that's not the most restful day for us.
Right.
But yeah, so we were doing that for a while. What did you think of that when we were really
I think that it was good. Like, I think that was beneficial. I guess the main things that come to mind are, for me, I think that Sabbath day is really important for building our faith and reminding us like why we're here and who we serve and who God is. When we work and never take a break, a consistent break, so like a weekly break, to remember that God is ultimately in charge and to remember that He is the one that we look to. I feel like I'm not explaining this well, but it's very refreshing and humbling to know I'm going to work hard all week long. And then this is the day that I remember that it's God that I worship and that I praise. And He's the one that's in control. He's the one that's going to make this next week that I'm about to work really hard in be what it's supposed to be.
Right.
I'm not, my working one more day, 7 days a week, is not going to like make myself rise above the rest. You know, like it's, I think it's just really important to remember God. Like, and he wanted that for us. He wanted us to take a break to remember Him, because that's why we're here. We're here to serve Him. We're here to worship Him. We're here to be His light. Yeah. And it's a good reminder. We need that reminder every week.
Yeah. No. And just recently we read that in Exodus, you know, when God was establishing the Sabbath day with the people of Israel after He brought them out of slavery, he was establishing, this was, it started with the food. You know, they were in the wilderness and He provided manna, which is like this thin,
flaky
bread, like,
who knows,
thing
that melts in the sun. So you better get it quick.
Yeah, it's crazy. But so He provided that for the Israelites in the wilderness to eat. And He said, 6 days, you're going to go out there, you're going to gather it.
Just enough for that day.
Just enough for that day. And if you get too much, it won't last. And they would wake up the next day, because of course trust is the key thing with humans.
Yes.
So some wouldn't trust God and would gather a little extra, and then the next day they would wake up and there was like worms and maggots and all that type of stuff in the manna. But
the sixth day,
they would go out and they would gather double so that they had enough for the Sabbath day, because they were not supposed to go out and work on that day to gather food.
And that was the only day that it wouldn't go bad.
Right.
When you
and
gather double.
It would last through that. And so it was a remembering exercise for the Israelites to remember, hey, God provides.
Yep.
Hey, remember, He's the one providing for your food and for your sustenance, even in the times that you are unable to provide for yourself.
Yes.
You know, you're forced to not provide for yourself this day so as to remember that He provides for you.
And to see His provision.
Right.
Every day they saw that this enough that they gathered from the sixth day lasted for the seventh. And then some of them didn't do that. Some of them went out on the seventh day to look for food and it wasn't there.
Right.
Because they didn't listen. They didn't trust that He would provide, even though He was providing the manna every day.
And that's a hard struggle.
Yeah.
Because I've noticed a lot too, reading through Exodus, and now we're in Leviticus, and especially in Exodus, that's a lot of chapters where you look at the Israelites and you're like, oh, those stupid people. Those stupid people. You know, you have God leading you through the wilderness and you still don't trust Him, and you still say stupid things, and you still make stupid decisions until I reflect on my life.
Right.
And then I'm like, well, I do all the same things.
Yep.
I do everything the same. But so remembering is a huge part of the Sabbath, and that provision is another element that's really hard for, I think us Americans.
Yeah.
I mean, we are the providers for our families. We're the providers for our children,
Yeah, it comes down to that trusting.
Yeah.
Do we trust that if we take one day a week, every week?
Yeah, he says he's going to provide.
Yeah.
He's going to work it out while you're not.
Right.
And it goes back to even some other verses where, God says to the Israelites, just be silent, wait. I'm going to go out there and fight your battles.
Right.
And that's the same thing when it comes to Sabbath is he's like, just chill out, work hard for 6 days.
Right.
On that 7th day, I got you.
Right.
And I'm going to show you I got you.
Right.
I'm going to show you that I'm still there for you.
Right.
In case you forgot. In case you're having a hard week and you forgot, use this day to remember that I still have you.
Right.
Your finances are under control because you gave them to me.
Yes.
And that's something that I kind of regret not doing more of, is really taking the time on whatever day is chosen to be a Sabbath day and not working so as to just look and remember and see, maybe even just remember this past week.
Right.
You don't have to remember broad things like who God is or who he is to your life or anything like that, but just remembering what happened last week in comparison to what happened this week.
Right.
And that's such a powerful thing to do too. And just say, wow, my finances were provided for.
Right.
I didn't have to work that extra day. I didn't have to work that extra overtime because I just made sure that I gave it to God.
Yep.
And I kept, his Sabbath day holy, and I remembered him and I remembered his provision for my life, and I trusted that. And look what happened.
Yeah.
That's, like you said, remembering, that's what the Sabbath is really, really for.
That's where so I'm not into like traditions and rituals. Like I'm not that kind of person, but I think they do have value. And I think that's when they actually would have value, is on that day, even if it's your own family's tradition, but something you do that day that helps you enjoy God and remember what you were just talking about.
Right.
Because the temptation for me on those days would be to just do one more thing that maybe I couldn't get done on Friday.
Exactly.
Or just one more thing that I know needs to get done early on Sunday. But right there, that it's the trust. Can I trust God with that thing? Can it wait? Of course it can wait.
Yeah.
But in our minds and in our human, we want to just take control and just be let's just do one more thing.
That's been the natural inclination for me, is all those things that I wanted to get done during the week that I was too tired for, or just didn't have time for, just couldn't do. Saturday, I was looking towards that day. I'm like, that'll be it. That'll be my catch up time.
Right.
Instead of saying, God, fight my battles.
Right.
God, go before me and do whatever's necessary in that day that I choose to rest.
Yes.
To prepare me for that coming week. And I think that's a huge thing, is that I'm not going to accomplish what I want to accomplish during the week. I'm not going to have that stamina or that mental, and I think that's a huge part, the mental stamina to be able to work hard during the week and really accomplish the things that I want to accomplish, because I never have taken time to rest my mind.
Right.
And that's a big thing for me. It's not really the physical. I mean, it is the physical, but I think it stems a lot from mental.
Yes.
Just in terms of just having a lot of things coming at me during the week. My job is very, mental oriented. I do a lot of computer-based stuff and problem solving and things like that. So there's a lot of that going on. And then
you do a lot of mental stuff.
Yeah.
We could go down a list. Well, we don't have to do that.
We don't have to do that. That would be boring. But yeah, it's something that is so needed. And I'm excited after this vacation to try and work hard the week we get back in order to prepare for Saturday
Yeah.
being a Sabbath day.
Mhm.
You know, working out, scheduling whatever we usually need to get done on Saturdays
Yes.
and have been doing,
Yes.
and get that done before so that Saturday can be a Sabbath day. And just
And that's what we're supposed to do. Because I think of the whole, if you take the manna example, they did, this is a simple example, they
Right.
did extra work that day to collect enough for their household for 2 days.
right.
So God is not saying to be lazy. He's saying work hard.
Yep.
Oh, work hard.
Yep.
Get it done. And then whatever he knows us, whatever we physically or emotionally or mentally actually cannot get done, it's going to be okay. But work hard.
Yeah.
Just do it.
Yeah.
And then we trust him with the rest.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, that's the hard part, but the beautiful part of it.
Right. Right. Yeah. Trust is the goal, I think. Like you said, remembering so as to trust better for the future, in the future.
Right.
And I think that's the goal with a lot of things in life. That's the goal with relationships. You know, setting aside time to go on a date night, which we need to do.
I know.
Yeah.
We've been saying that for the past
Yeah, you've
8
been
months.
saying that for a while.
9 months.
And I've been pretty terrible at that. But yeah, I mean, doing things like that, making the time for a date night establishes a time that we get to remember why we're married, why we fell in love, why we're together, so as to trust the other person
Right.
for the future.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh, right. This is why.
Yes.
This is why. So I
Yes.
can trust you now more
Mm-hmm.
that we'll be successful in our future together.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and that's really what the Sabbath is, to be like, right. God did all of this.
Yes. Amen.
And now I can trust him
right.
more in the future.
And what an example that is to our children. Like if we can actually get that down,
Yeah.
an example to our children, not only of our trust in God and his provision, which is a powerful example, but also that time that then we are with them. Like, I think that was in God's mind too. Like the family is then together, eating together on that day, playing together, resting together, enjoying God together without all the distractions of work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's what we were calling it at first. We were calling it Family Day.
Right.
And that was, right. Yeah. And just thinking back to it now, that was such a meaningful day for Brahm.
Yeah.
You know, that was such our oldest son. That was such a meaningful day for him to really feel like he got some quality time with his parents.
It made him feel important.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's so necessary. So what are some other elements that I'm forgetting in terms of Sabbath, or some things that we've learned, you know, through the
Bible reading, or just
doing it, or things that we've discussed in regards to Sabbath that you think were helpful?
Oh, well, I have more questions than helpful comments. Right. I think, yeah, I guess my main thing is trying to figure out what Sabbath looks like in our life.
Yeah.
Today. But I think we just talked about it. I think God is kind of looking for us to just trust him, like we've been talking about. I guess in the beginning, when we were working through things, it was hard to know, like, you know, are we supposed to follow an example that's been in the past? Or, you know, how legalistic are we supposed to be about this? Right. And I don't know if this is, I guess here is my real question. I don't know if we have it right yet, but I know we're like going in the right direction. Like we're being faithful to try to.
That wasn't a question.
Figure it out. That's not a question?
No.
Oh, okay.
I mean, we could put a question mark at the end of it. That's fine.
Well, let's just put a question mark at the end of it.
Yeah. It was a question, and then you're like, statement. But I know what you're getting at. Are we doing it right? What are the things to improve upon in the future to
Right.
make it more of a Sabbath, a day of rest for our family.
Right.
And I from everything that I've learned, I really think it depends.
Yeah.
It depends on your family. It depends on your family structure. It depends on your work week. It depends on a lot of things.
Right.
There are definitely some things that can look the same for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
And there are definitely things, I think practices such as turning off devices,
Right.
staying away from TV if possible. If you want to do a movie,
Right.
you decide that for yourself.
Right.
If that's a fun thing that brings your family together, awesome.
Right.
But for the most part, staying away from social media, staying away from, news, staying away from anything like that just fills you with dread. No, but that fills you with anything that removes you from that mental state of refreshing and from remembering and from,
those things are distracting.
yeah, any type of distraction, trying to remove those for a day. And let yourself be with yourself.
Yes.
Let yourself be with your thoughts. Let yourself be with your family and their thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
Having a time maybe where you're at the dinner table is really important. I mean, there's so many studies that have come out that families that eat together have such a better level of communication.
Yeah.
They have such a better level of, I don't know what the right word is for. It's communication. I guess that's really what it stems from, but parental child communication.
Yeah.
Better relationship build. It's a better relationship, a really good relationship building activity.
Yeah.
And
that's so, sorry to interrupt you, but that's so important, I know, for myself, because I want to get everything done all at once. That's just how I am. So to almost have it scheduled into my life, like, stop.
Yeah.
Like, stop and take a moment to enjoy and understand and know your precious children. Like,
yeah.
And that's so needed. And I don't think I'm the only one, because there's so much to get done physically and on emails and with work and just everything. There's so much to do. So to have that already scheduled into your life, that certain periods, like at the dinner table, to be like, no, let's just stop now and all be together and just enjoy each other, know each other, talk with each other without looking at a phone or being on the computer.
Yeah. And I haven't gotten to that point yet. I know there are some people that on their Sabbath day, they'll shut off their phone and they'll just put it in another room.
Right.
And I haven't gotten to that point yet. Maybe I'll get there eventually, but
I want to get better at it too. Even the mealtime thing.
Yeah, even having that. Well, even having meals prepared. So cuz I always hate that when you have to prepare a meal.
Yeah.
I feel like, especially on the Sabbath, I'm like, oh, can we just get like a pizza or something?
Right.
And, I feel like it takes away from
the resting
and the time that we get to spend with the kids.
Right.
Yeah. So it really depends. It depends on your family, and it's such a practice.
Yeah.
And I think it's okay to practice and fail and say, well, that sucked.
That didn't work.
And you'll have those. You'll have Sabbaths where you're like, well, that was the most non-restful day of the entire week.
Right.
Why couldn't I just put on TV for the kids so they weren't insane? Yeah. You'll have those. And I think it'll be a journey for our kids too, because they want to do things. They want to go places. They want to have that constant feedback, that constant doing something.
And that's okay too, to do something as a family.
Right. And we've managed to figure out different things, especially now that it's nicer out, to do as a family outside, or to do as a family, that's a little more engaging.
Yeah.
Other than a movie,
right.
Other than TV. Yeah. So anything else that you have been thinking about or learning about in terms of Sabbath, was there anything that when we had read about it, I guess it was a couple days ago, we had read it in our reading in Exodus on the Sabbath. Was there anything that stuck out to you during that
There was
day?
There was one thing that stuck out at me, and actually someone else that's reading through with us pointed it out. But they were saying, God was saying to the people, even during the harvest time, so even during their most busy time, where it makes sense to like not stop working because there's a lot to do,
right?
And it needs to get done, in a certain time period, really. But he said, even in that time, even in that harvest time, take a Sabbath. Mm-hmm. And to me, that just spoke to me because I'm like, oh, wow. Like God is not taking any like, it's okay during this period of time. Yeah. Like, no, he's saying, trust me.
Yep.
Trust me. And that was just like, wow. Yeah. Even, and not even just for Sabbath, but just for things that are important to God. Like they're important to God.
Yes.
Even when I'm busy, even when my life seems more important than what God thinks is important. Like his stuff is more important. It's still more important. Yeah. Sorry, Brittany. And I thought that was really powerful. And that we need that from God. We need to remember that those things are important to him. And if they're important to him, then it's best for us.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. Well, if anybody's listening to this and they want to learn more about Sabbath, my first recommendation is to go read about it in the Bible.
Yes.
That'll be my first recommendation, as it should be. But there's so many books out there right now. There are so many books that have released maybe in the past 3 years on this subject. I know there's a sermon on YouTube that you can look up from Pastor Robert Morris. He talks about Sabbath. I don't agree with everything that he says, but I found this sermon to really be impactful on my life and sort of starting me on the journey of trying to pursue Sabbath in my own life, a day of rest in my own life. And this isn't a Christian ideal. I think this is a human ideal. Mm-hmm. I believe as a Christian that God established this day it says it in the Bible. He established this for our good.
Yeah. Yeah. For our good.
For our good, for our benefit. It's not something that you have to ritualistically do for God. Mm-hmm. It helps you remember him for your benefit. It helps you rest for your benefit.
Right.
And I'm trying to think, there was one book that I had read that was really good. And of course, I can't remember the name of it or the author. Maybe I'll say it in a later podcast
Is it the one you shared with your mom?
Yeah, what was that called?
Isn't that 24/7 or no?
24/6.
24/6.
24/6. Thank you. I don't remember the author's name. But the book is called 24/6. There's not a lot of books with that title, so you'll find it. But that is a really good, not totally, this is a guy that wasn't a Christian all his life. He got saved very late in life. He's a very smart guy, a doctor, surgeon, that went on the same Sabbath journey, and he learned a lot through it. And he wrote it down, and that's a really great place to start too. So if you want to look that up, you can get that for really cheap, paperback edition on Amazon. But yeah, if you have any other questions about Sabbath, as always, you can leave a comment. If you're on social media seeing this, you can send us a direct message, and we'll respond in the best way that we know how. You can leave a YouTube comment. I try to read those when I can. But yeah, so we're just going to wrap it up here. And I hope that you enjoyed this podcast, being with us on our vacation. Mm-hmm. And we hope that you have a great rest of your week. All right. Bye.